briefly, I am Diane Lebanowski, and I live in Wisconsin, and sometimes I do spend time in Florida. And I've taught this class before, and I teach some of your other courses that you'll be getting into later on, 322, 324, and then other ones. So I welcome you to this class. I think you're going to find this a great class, which we'll talk about for your nursing education. So who would like to go next?
I will.
Okay, so Carly, okay.
Sure. I'm Carly Naval. I'm also an instructor in NUR125 and many other courses, 324, 330, a few others like that. Oh, what else? That's about it. I live in Utah. I'm the only one that's local here. I actually live just about a mile from the Murray campus. I am 35 weeks pregnant. I'll be welcoming a little girl in just a few weeks.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Yeah, we're thrilled.
Sheila, do you want to go?
Yep. I'm Sheila Mady, and I am also an instructor for 125. I live in Montana and don't frequent anywhere but Montana. Would love to frequent Florida around this time of year. So I also teach some of your upper division classes in the 300. And I also believe this class is fast-paced. It's fun. You will gain a wealth of knowledge that you can bring forward to your other classes.
And Ann?
And I'm Ann Wilkinson, and I am teaching 2 sections of NUR 125, and they are sections YM and YP3. I am here in Wisconsin also, although I don't live near Diane. We live over an hour apart, I believe. And I think this is a great course. You're going to learn a lot of excellent information that'll help you in the courses that come after this, and it's a great start. So welcome.
All right. So there are 4 of us that teach this class, and I believe there are 5 sections. And the syllabus is my syllabus that I have up, but you will find on your syllabus your instructor's name, phone number, and email address and office hours. And that will vary between each instructor. I think all of us have cell phones, and we welcome text messages. I think for all of us, please be aware that we are on different time zones. So if it is 9 o'clock by you, it could be 10 or 11 by us. So if you can text during the daytime or early evening, that would be great. This course basically is an overview of concepts and skills related to becoming a nurse generalist. And what you're going to learn in this course will serve as a foundation for really basically your future courses. It is a really good learning experience. I will only highlight the syllabus as you can take the time to go through it. So we will go through it a little bit quickly. Like I said, you are going to look at essentials of baccalaureate education, look at the role of the nurse generalist. You're going to learn how to write effectively, use good technical communication. In one of the assignments, you'll apply scholarly evidence, articles. You'll analyze current theories of nursing and describe reliable sources for locating evidence. That's sort of a big focus in this class. And then how to use databases in that. And we will go through each of these assignments briefly so you do have a good overview. In this course, you will see PowerPoints. Examinations really would be more of a quiz. There's lectures, handouts, discussion questions, assignments, readings, and conferences. This is our first one. We may schedule others that will be determined in the future. The book that you need for this class is your APA manual. It is not an ebook. You do have to purchase this book. and this is the name of it. It's a book you're going to have for the rest of your life, so it is a good resource. One of the things you'll find in this course is that you will be learning many articles that you will need to look up. I am not going to switch to this site, but if you go to your Pages tab, oops, I did not want to do that. This shows you the LRIN. But if you go to your Pages tab, these are all listed on your on that site. So I'll get back to the home page here. So again, that you will be using in the future. And also you can use EBSCOhost. These are just bases that you will use to find scholarly articles. If you find that you do need support, if you need support from Eaglegate or Provo, you can reach, it's Ron or Jeff. Their office hours are listed here. They are very helpful. That relates to the Eaglegate College. If you're having problems with Canvas, which is your Blackboard, or not your Blackboard, but your site for learning, especially if it's a Sunday night and you think you're having problems, please call this number because many times they are the ones that will help you. With any course, you will have, you're expected to do your lecture and do outside reading, and then you do have several assignments throughout the course, so you do need to put in your time. General course policies. Ethical behavior means that you are in nursing school and we do expect you to be honest. As you know, with nurses, we can never be, we have to be honest. And so it starts here. So we want you to be honest in your work and working with others. Plagiarism just means that you are giving credit for a source. So if you're quoting a source or using a source and paraphrasing it, we will get more into that in the third module week or module 3. So we will follow up on that with more information. As a nursing student, you are expected to be professional, and I'm not going to read through all this, but please take the time to read about professionalism. Late work really applies to assignments in the class. So all assignments and discussion need to be completed by Sunday at 11:59 Mountain Standard Time. If you do turn an assignment in, which would be a written assignment, you would lose 10% for each day up to Wednesday. After that, you would receive a 0 for that assignment. So please know there is a strict late policy that is followed. Any quizzes need to be done by the due date, which is Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I will go through the discussion, so I will talk about that when we look at the rubric and really prep you. Any of these do not apply to this class. When we talk about attendance in an online class, it means that you are showing up online and—
Hi, Diane, can I say something?
Yes.
Hi, Diane.
Yes, go ahead.
Can I just ask if you guys aren't talking, could you please mute your mics so we can hear Diane fully, please?
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you couldn't hear me. So to mute your mic, you just need to go—
No, we can. I hear some snoring.
Okay. I can mute everybody and then open it up for questions.
Dog snoring or what?
Okay.
Well, okay.
Okay. All right, we'll see. We'll leave it this way, see if it changes. Okay. All right, attendance. Okay. So attendance means you are showing up in the online class. We have ways to look at that. And it is taken on Monday mornings. And that means you have shown up in class Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And then we also take attendance on Thursday mornings. And that means you have shown up in class Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So it's very important that you are going on the discussion board, completing assignments, so that you are attending the class. And if anybody has any questions about that, maybe you can write them down, and we'll answer your questions in the end. Civility means that when you are on the discussion board, I'll talk to you about that, but it is being civil with yourself and with your fellow students. And one of the biggest ways to be civil on the discussion board is to make sure you address everyone by their first name. And you can read through these guidelines for civility. So in this class, and I'm going to just skip down to the grid here that makes it more easy to explain. There you go. So this is how you're going to be graded in this class. You have a discussion every week, 2 discussion questions for 50 points, except for the last week there is only 1 discussion question. You have a time management chart for 50 points that's due after the first week. You have a flyer, which is assigned in week 2. You have the APA quiz in week 3. You have a scholarly analysis paper, and finally a PowerPoint. And we'll briefly go through all those. I'm going to try muting and see if this works. Okay. Can you hear me, I hope? Write in if you can't. Okay. All right. So now we'll go through the discussion. Discussion is big in this class and in any of your other classes. And this is the rubric. Make sure that when you have an assignment, whether it's the discussion rubric or any other assignment, that you read through every criteria, because that tells you how you will get your grade. So one of the most important things, the first couple of weeks in this class, we are a little bit more liberal in the grading, but after you have your APA assignment, this will be very important. You have to include in your discussion support from literature, which means that you will have a reference and an in-text citation. So that is within the text. And again, that will come in week 3, but it is part of the discussion rubric criteria. The next piece to this is contributing to learning. And in this area here, make sure that you are answering the discussion question and answering all parts of the discussion question. And if you see 4 to 5 points, to make a really strong discussion, you may want to add a question at the end, questioning your classmates. You want to make sure that it is less than 20% quoted. And again, that you've covered every piece of the discussion to get your 4 to 5 points. The next piece in the discussion rubric is an etiquette, and that means that you are answering civilly and responsible. And again, starting every discussion with, "Hello, Diane," and then not just me, but any one of your classmates, and answering your discussion. You may ask your instructor how they would like to be addressed. Some of us go by first name, some of us go by doctor, and some go by professor. So feel free to ask that in the questions for instructors. And the next one is looking at grammar, spelling, and format. And here is where we do take off for APA format after the 3rd week. So again, make sure you spell check before you submit. Some of you may be using your cell phone to do your discussions. However, make sure that you are looking for spelling, punctuation with your cell phones, because this is an easy way to lose points if that is not taken care of. Down here talks about when you need to post. You need to put your initial post, answer that discussion question 1 or 2 by Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. And then you do need to respond to two other students or instructor on a different day, but no later than Sunday at 11:59. And if you do not meet this requirement, you would lose up to 5 points. If you only respond to one other person, it's 3 points. If you do not respond to your classmates, you lose quite a few points because you do not get points in this area here, and you do not get points in this area here. So that is like 15 points. So make sure that you are following through and doing each piece of this discussion. So I am not going to go through each week. I'm going to let the other instructors talk about what's due in each week. And the first week is Anne. And so I'm going to unmute everybody here, hopefully. Okay. So Anne, can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay. So
Yes,
would you
I
like
can
me
hear
to?
you, and I'm unmuted. So
Okay. And I will turn this to module 1. How's that?
take it to the
Time management.
That's good, and maybe just to the time management tracking chart.
Okay. All right. So your modules, before I get over there, sorry, Ann, before I get there, make sure that you're reading your announcements all the time on a daily basis. We send announcements out throughout the week, and there's good information in there. And this is your discussion tab. So, and here's your modules. So we'll go to module 1. And we will. Also this week, make sure you're introducing yourself in the Eaglegate Cafe. Okay. It's coming. Slowly. Very slowly. Okay, why is that doing that? Okay, this is a actual a video on that. I didn't want that. Here it is. Okay, sorry.
I think if you go, yeah.
Okay. All right, so here's your first assignment, which is due by this coming Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So Ann is going to talk a little bit about this.
Okay. So actually, during our discussion boards, many of you have been commenting on some of the barriers that you find are the barriers to being organized, or temptations to procrastinate, and all the different busy things that you're doing in your lives that you have to do. You're working and you have children, and now you're in school. So for this assignment, it's going to help you with your organization and some of the things that you've identified on the discussion board. And so it's going to be an electronic version of a weekly schedule. So if you look at the schedule, it's there for you Monday through Sunday from 6 a.m. One day till 5 a.m. the next day. So hour by hour, you can plot out your day, because some of you, I can see, are online at 2 in the morning, and others of us are online at 2 in the afternoon. So you're going to take this weekly schedule, and you're going to complete it, and you're going to end up making a to-do list that will be for each day. And so how you're going to use this is you're going to, click on a box and type on the electronic version of the weekly schedule. You are going to look at your life. You're going to look at what do you have to do this week. You're going to note on your schedule the times and activities that are routine and never change. So you know that you have to go to work, and your work is maybe you work part-time and it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Is it in the evening? Is it during the day? Block that out. When are you preparing meals? Do you drive anybody to soccer practice or things like that? What do you do that is regularly scheduled? When do you if you have children, do you need to help them get ready for bed? Do you help them with homework, etc.? Then the second thing you're gonna mark off are the not regularly occurring events. So maybe there's a doctor's appointment, or maybe there's a school event for one of your kids. There might be a birthday coming up or a holiday. Mark those off if they're happening this week. Mark off that time. And you might want to mark off the time it takes to get there. So not just that the, the soccer practice is at 5 in the afternoon, but, it's the time getting there. It's the time maybe you carpool, taking kids home. Mark that all off because you want to account for all the time that you are busy. Now, the next point, point number 3, is you want to mark off the time that you are planning to use to study. And remember that you may end up studying 9 to 12 hours per week for a 3-credit course, because studies have shown that it takes 2 to 4 hours for every credit to do the assignments, to do the readings, to do the studying, all that. So you need to plot out 9 to 12 hours per week for a 3-credit course. And so you want to break those up because you don't want to do that all in one day. You're not going to be very productive as the time goes on because that will be a long day. So you want to make sure that you're breaking up your study time. And then if you're going to be studying for a couple hours, maybe 2 or 3 hours in one day, plan a 5 to 10 minute break for each hour that you study, because that'll help you refocus, get the blood flowing, get a little snack, and then come right back to it. The next thing you need to do is each day you should create a to-do list for the next day, and you're going to prioritize what must be done. And don't be too hard on yourself if you don't get to everything on your list. But because that might happen, you need to save a couple hours for later in the week, unless in case you need to catch up. So some of the tips we have for you are plan ahead. Take time at the beginning of each week to plan your upcoming week. Make it part of your routine, and then it's easier to stay on top of things. But one thing to remember is that this is due on Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time, and you want to upload it to Dropbox by that time. And I think it's going to be a great start to getting yourselves organized, because it is a challenge to organize oneself when you have a lot of things going. So that will get you off on the right foot for the rest of the class. And if you have any questions about this, you want to be sure to either email or text or post a question in the questions forum, and we'll be glad to answer those.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions right now for Anne?
I have a question.
Okay.
Regarding what you said, Miss Anne, that black it out like the normal routine. So you mean black it out like, are we just gonna leave it blank or highlight it with color black, or can we still put the word sleeping?
That's a great question, Beth, and you can get as creative as you want. Some people like to highlight in yellow maybe the times that they're at work, and then maybe they use a different color, highlight it in green when you're going to study, highlight in a different color when you're going to prepare your meals or go grocery shopping. So you can be as creative as you want, but you want to make sure that you if every morning at 7 a.m. you're getting children to off to school, put that in the time frame there. Put get kids ready for school, so that it's clear what you're doing.
Right. Okay.
There's 3,
so we can make
5
it creative
of the same
Yes,
class.
you can be as creative, what works for you, because that's what it's all about.
For teaching these classes.
I find that if you use a blue for work and green for children and red for school and whatever. If you color coordinate those, sometimes that actually gives you a good picture. And don't forget to put in your sleep.
Take a picture.
All right. Just a reminder, please do not talk because we do get background noise here, or mute your microphone. Your microphone is located in the upper right-hand corner. It's green, and if you click on it, it should mute. So, all right.
Or if you're on your phone, you might just put mute on your phone,
Then you could, yes.
or if you're not logged into the computer.
Yeah, and Trey, you asked a question, you are muted. So we can't hear your movies. So, all right. So
Yeah,
Carly,
we can't control.
are you next with the
Yep,
flyer?
I'm module 2.
Okay.
Someone to help us
Yes.
with pitching. We've been looking for someone to help us, and there's no one around.
So somebody's talking right now on the phone. Can you mute your phone, please?
Okay. All right. So this is your assignment for week 2, module 2. So Carly's going to
Can
talk
I
about
ask
the.
a question?
Go ahead.
Okay, I just was wondering, with that calendar schedule, is that something we're doing weekly or just this week?
That is your
Just
first
once.
assignment. Just once.
That's my first assignment. Okay, thank you.
But you can use it. I mean, so it's kind of meant to be sort of a foundation for, you know, the continuation of your semester. But yeah, it's just a one-time assignment that you have to turn it in. But sometimes it's helpful to print it out and actually use it.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, assignment.
Okay, so module 2.
Question about a Python guy.
Sorry, was that a question?
Somebody's talking on their phone.
Just background. Okay, so module 2 is our professional nurse flyer. And the flyer is meant to kind of familiarize you a little bit with my word art and Microsoft Word. So, sorry, just pulling this up here on my computer. It's worth 130 points. And you're just going to create a written communication flyer. So I think I'll just go through the rubric. I think that's easiest.
Okay, and I'm pulling the rubric up right here. It's not real good to see.
Awesome, thank you. Sorry, I've had a cold here. So you're going to use word art first to create the title, an attractively formatted title for the flyer. We want a descriptive title that actually describes the content that you're going to create. So the content of the flyer will be about the baccalaureate nursing essentials. And so it kind of feeds into the lecture for that week. You'll read the essentials of professional nursing and the baccalaureate nurse, and then you'll create a flyer based on that. So we want you to include text, a reason for continuing the education as a professional nurse at the baccalaureate level, one of the reasons that it's important. And then an image to an area of nursing that you're interested in exploring through your education. So whether that's pediatrics or women's health or hospice, whatever you are kind of leaning toward now. So just include a little graphic, and you can get that from the internet. You can go onto websites where they're not copyrighted. There are lots of websites where the images are just public domain. So if you just Google it, and the image is public, include text describing one core principle you find most.
Oops, I can't hear you, Carly. I don't know what happened.
Working in the area that's presented with your image. So, oh, sorry. Can you now?
Now better, yes.
Can you hear now?
Yes.
I can hear you now.
Oh, is that better? Sorry, guys. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. So the text describing the core principle that you find most important, you'll want to you want to pertain it to whatever your image was. So it's about an area that you care, that you're looking to go into. So I'm labor and delivery, so an important principle that would be important for a labor and delivery nurse or a peds nurse or whatever you choose. You're going to create a table that's 3 columns by 3 rows, no less than that, but it can be more than that. The table will include 3 of the essentials of the baccalaureate education for professional nursing practice. And you'll find those essentials in your lecture for that week. And these are just 3 that you feel are the most important. You must include the essential number and the information on that essential and the reason why you think it's a priority. So that table will be 3 by 3, your essential, why it's important, and the information about that essential. Set your margins at 1 inch, top, bottom, right, and left. Set the orientation to landscape. So it should be horizontal, not vertical. Use 2 different fonts, 3 different colors of text to add interest other than black or white. The only thing about the colors is please make sure that they are readable. I recommend against anything highlighter colored, no lime green or really bright pink. It's hard to read those. 2 different font sizes as well. And then add a border to your flyer. This can be really simple, even just the line around everything, but you'll want to add a border. So there's kind of a lot of elements. The biggest thing I recommend is make sure that you're going through the rubric. It seems like a lot, but it's actually really simple once you do it. It's a really simple flyer. Just make sure all of these elements are included. Because if you forget even 1 or 2, then you end up losing 20 to 30 points, and that's a bummer. So just make sure that you look at the rubric before you turn it in and that you have all the elements there. And then, as always, spell checker to check spelling and grammar, and proofreading, since we will be looking at punctuation and grammar. And that will be another 10 points. Okay, so any questions about that assignment?
Does anybody have any questions?
Great.
Otherwise, we will move on to Sheila, who's going to talk about Module 3.
Awesome.
And I will get that up. Sheila? Hello.
Awesome. Thank you. Everybody hear me okay, Diane?
I can hear you. Hopefully everybody else can.
I'm here. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I think you're good.
Okay. So regarding, okay.
I'm getting to Module 3.
So regarding Module 3, this is a quiz. Yep. Okay.
Where do you want me to go? The checklist? Because this one has the quiz. So where would it be?
Actually, go,
to the quiz?
Yep, go to the APA quiz.
Okay.
Yep, the instructions, you know, the up above there.
Yep, I'll go to that.
Just go to Module 3 and then click on the APA quiz. And that'll be great.
It will eventually come up, so keep talking. My computer is really slow. There we go. Okay. There you go.
So this is a quiz, not an assignment, so you cannot turn this in late. It has to be due on time. And so I would recommend that you look through your APA training PowerPoint, which is found under your course tools. Look at that. And then also look at your Module 3, Avoiding Plagiarism. And this is a Who Knew It. It'll guide you through different aspects of plagiarism, because it really will help you answer the questions to the quizzes. And so be prepared before you dive into your quiz. The quiz is worth 75 points. There's 1 through 26 questions. If we move through to the instructions, I want you to read and review your quiz word for word. You need to make manual as a reference. You have to have a physical copy with you. There's no other way to do this without it. And so points are listed on the quiz as you do them. And then also the last thing you need to do is make sure you write down the page on where you found your answer. In hopes, the overall goal to this is that you will go ahead and tag your APA manual with these certain areas because you will reflect consistently throughout your nursing program on these areas. And so maybe tab your book as you're going through this quiz. If you miss any part of the answer, you'll receive 0 points. If you forget to put in a page number, 0 points for that aspect. So if you can, let me go back to see what Diane, so at the very bottom, Diane, you can see where it says download the file below. And so what you're going to do is you're going to click on that file and it will bring up your quiz. Fill it in. Make sure you answer every question. Make sure you put in every page and then upload it, and then it will be graded accordingly. Let me move to, I don't know if you actually want to bring it up, or once you look at that document, if you have any questions, please let us know. Kristen has asked if this is a timed quiz. It is not, but it is due Sunday of week 3, Sunday by 11:59 p.m. Okay, so it will take you some time to do. Make sure that you'll see where there's multiple choice. You'll see where there are citations, and you have to look at the citation and see how it would be in APA formatting and write that out. Make sure that you find your page numbers. Now, when you look at your quiz, there are hints about page numbers. And so if you have a page and page, that tells you that it's found on 2 different pages in your text, in your manual. If you have page dash dash, that means it's found from page like 3 through 6. So make sure that you understand what those mean on your quiz. So what I would recommend is maybe look at your quiz and see if you have any questions and ask us about those questions you may have before it's actually due. All right?
I think I brought up the quiz, but
any
it's
question?
giving me a hard time.
It's
Can you see
I
the
don't
quiz?
see anything, which is fine.
You can't see the
I
quiz?
can't.
No, okay. It's pausing the screen.
Oh, now I can.
Uh-oh, okay.
Yep, there it
Yep.
is.
Okay.
Yep. So
This is what the quiz looks like.
your name, your date, and then if you scroll down, so then Diane will scroll down, and it'll show you we're going to start with multiple choice, A, B, C, or D. Check that answer, and then make sure you put in a page number. And then just continue through the whole quiz, 26 questions. I have a question. Can we turn in assignments and this quiz early? Yes, you can turn it in early. It just won't be graded until after the due date, if that's okay. Get it done early. That's fantastic. That helps you stay on track. Perfect. I don't have a problem with it personally. Diane is continually scrolling down. So Diane, if you can, 14 through 25 talks about pages. And so what I was talking about before is if there's a pages blank through blank, make sure you have like 3 through 6. If it's just page, blank, and page, it's not a through, it's a page and page. So 2 different pages it's found on. I hope that makes sense. Okay. And then your conclusion. And then at the bottom, you have a grading rubric, which is blank. I would ask that you take your answers and fill in that rubric. That way we just have to download, when we grade, we just have to download that grading rubric. If you don't want to do that, no problem. Just fill in your quiz and turn it in, no problem. Okay. This will take you some time. Make sure you look at it, ask any questions before the due date so we can effectively answer those for you. Give us enough time if you have a question. Anybody have any questions or concerns, anything?
All right, then we will move on to module 4. And Who is doing
And
module
that is
4?
Me as well.
Okay,
I am.
I'll get there.
Yeah.
A long
Let me
way.
just bring up my module 4.
So module 4 assignment.
All right. Yep. So this is an actual assignment. So the late policy applies to this if you turn it in late. This is worth 175 points. This is a big assignment. Big assignment. Needs to be submitted by Sunday of week 4 by 11:59 p.m. And I would ask again, look through the assignment. If you have questions, please ask before it's due so we can help you with that. You can look through the course assignment, focus on course outcomes 6 and 7. The gist of what we want you to do is we want you to look at scholarly resource analysis. So we want you to search the internet for a website and provide us with, is it scholarly or not? Module 4 lecture really will help you complete this assignment. So I would make sure you read through the lecture and then do your assignment, because every aspect of this assignment you can find within your lecture. And so certain criteria, your paper has to be in APA formatting, and we are going to grade accordingly because you've just turned in your APA assignment the previous week. So the body of your paper must be 3 to 5 pages in length. Now, this does not include your title page or your reference page. So make sure that the body of your paper is 3 to 5 pages in length. You must include 2 or more scholarly resources. Those resources must be cited within your paper, because what this does is it shows support of your statements. Otherwise, if you don't cite, it would be considered plagiarism, and we do not like that, and you don't want that. So we need to, parts of the paper, make sure you have an introduction. So include the title or the name of the website, the domain, the reason why you chose the website, and how you located this website. And then we want you to perform an analysis. And these, let's see, parts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 parts to this. You can find it within your lecture. Each part is defined in your lecture. So we ask you for the credentials or the authority of the source. We ask you for accuracy. We ask you for bias. We ask you for currency. We ask you for content. We ask you for purpose, and then who the audience is for this web page, and then privacy and security, and then your conclusion. So you have specific parts that we need in the paper. So what I would recommend is that you make those your headers. So you would have an introduction header, and then you would have your credentials header, accuracy header, all the way through to your conclusion. If you look through, you know exactly what is asked of you in the grading rubric. Make sure you follow it. Make sure you look through it, see if you have any questions. A lot of those questions can be answered within week 4 lecture. Other than that, any questions with this aspect? One thing that I have found from teaching students in this 125 course is you guys really love web pages, which is great, but how valid are those web pages? One clue is if you pull up a web page and you want to use that information, if there is an advertisement on that web page, it is not scholarly. Usually our scholarly web pages end in .org, .edu. Remember that blogs are not scholarly. And I hope you all know what scholarly means. They've been peer reviewed. Wikipedia is not scholarly, all right? We want you to use web pages. We want you to use the LIRN for resources. But if you're going to use a web page, make sure it's scholarly. And this assignment will help you do that. So as you move into your other courses and you want to utilize websites like the CDC, that's scholarly. And so that way you know how to cite it and why you're using it. Any questions?
And if I can just add, it's okay if the website that you choose, if you find in your paper that it's not scholarly. I've had that happen where students researched one and looked into one and they found, based on this assignment, that it wasn't scholarly. That's okay. That doesn't mean you have to start your assignment over or anything. There's just a place in your conclusion to say that.
Awesome. Thank you, Carly, so very much. Yes, yes. We don't want you to start over after you've spent a lot of time researching this website, okay? And so I did talk a lot. I referenced a lot of the Module 4 lecture. Look through it. It defines every area that we want you to look at. And so that really is it's a really good project for you to do.
All right, if there are no more questions, Carly, you're doing 6 and 7, or is that correct? Module 6 assignment?
Yeah, I don't think there's an assignment for 7, so
okay,
just
so
6.
Just 6? Okay, so this is the last one.
Yep, that'll be our last one. Okay, so
it just takes me
Module 6, again, I'll just, yeah, no worries.
Okay.
Again, I'll just kind of give you an overview and then we'll go over the rubric. So Module 6, there's kind of 2 parts to this. So in order to do the PowerPoint presentation, which is the bulk of the assignment, again, this one's worth $195. So it's also a very big assignment. It's kind of your last big doozy. So you're going to determine an area of interest clinically that you would like to investigate, and we want you to prepare a clinical question. So this includes the PICO format, PICO-T, and we'll talk about that more. You'll read about that during the lecture. So in our discussion, it's Module 6, Discussion 2, you will post up your PICO question. So in an area that you're interested in or that you would like to investigate, you'll prepare a clinical question on something that you think might need improvement. So you'll post that on the Module 6 lecture, on Module 6 Discussion 2, sorry, not lecture, discussion. And I will help you kind of refocus your PICO question or kind of give you the go-ahead. And we'll all kind of learn from each other in that discussion thread. So then you'll take that PICO question and you'll apply it to your PowerPoint presentation, okay? So I will kind of help you and we can formulate all of our PICO questions together. And then based on that clinical inquiry, you'll go into this PowerPoint. So the first, it's all PowerPoint, it's not a paper, it's just slides. So you'll describe the steps to incorporating evidence-based practice. And this includes a framework or model of evidence-based practice. That'll be your first slide. So you'll want to look up a framework or model of EBP. You'll describe your area of interest that you decided to look into. And this could be your area of interest. Yeah, so Tabitha's asking, can you give an example of a question? Absolutely. So this could be any area of interest that you'd like. I'm trying to think of a great one from last semester. Like someone last semester talked about reducing catheter-associated UTIs. Okay, so they, I don't remember the exact inquiry, but it was about whether or not doing pericare or something along those lines every 12 hours versus every 24 hours made a difference in catheter-associated UTIs. Okay. So that's like a great one. Okay, so someone's putting up a PICO question here.
I just posted one, Carly, an example of one.
Thank you. Great. So I'm going to read Sheila's question there. And she's got a great example. So, and it can be in any area that you would like, area of research. I had someone in my last one who talked about the use of epidurals. She was interested in labor and delivery, so she talked about the use of epidurals versus not, and the risk of labor dystocia. So whatever area you're interested in, I had someone who discussed long-term care. They were talking about elderly residents and whether or not music helped to calm elderly residents before bedtime. So really, the world's kind of your oyster. Whatever you're interested in, we can absolutely, find a PICO question that will help you. And again, if you need help with it, please feel free to email me or put it on the discussion post. I recommend, if possible, on your Module 6 discussion 2, getting into this discussion pretty early if you can, because it will help you to kind of tweak the question and move things around. If it's not done until Wednesday night, sometimes you get a little behind because this assignment is due by Sunday and you want to make sure that your PICO question works okay. So I would recommend getting in Monday or Tuesday if possible, just to make sure that you have enough time to get this done by Sunday, okay? So you look in your area of interest, you state your clinical question after we talk about that in Module 6 discussion 2, and then you'll do a literature search on this question. Describe that literature search, including databases searched and your audit trail. That'll be another slide. You'll briefly describe the findings in the literature. So whatever you decide to look into, you'll look to see if there's been studies or data on this. The clinical or the answer to your PICO clinical question is presented in the literature. So describe the impact to patient care and or nursing practice. So for an example, with the catheter-associated UTIs, this student found that there wasn't a difference between doing it at 12 hours. Care done every 24 was sufficient. That's what the literature showed. So, you can look it up, and sometimes there's sufficient evidence and sometimes there isn't a lot. So then you'll present your recommendation. Should a change be made in nursing practice? If there isn't a lot of data on your question, you can recommend that further research is needed. It's not clear if we should make a change based on your question, and we just need to do more research and have more data to support this. And that happens pretty frequently depending on your question. So the presentation will have 5 to 7 slides, which does not include your title and reference. So it needs to be at least 5 without the title and reference. You'll want to make sure it looks nice, a balance between space, words, and graphics, and that your color is effective. Please make sure it's readable. Sometimes, again, the colors of questions is difficult. Slides, speaker notes, and citations and references are all consistent with the APA 6th edition. Please make sure that you are referencing anything that you put, particularly when you discuss your audit trail and the literature that you found based on your PICO question. All of that needs to have an in-text citation on your slides, and then you'll need a reference page at the end of, or not a page, sorry, a slide at the end. And as always, rules of grammar, spelling, word uses, and punctuation apply. This will be a formal written work in the form of a PowerPoint. So, are there any questions?
Carly?
Yeah.
This is Sheila, and what I've noticed is make sure that you add notes to your slides, because when we download them and we look at your slides, you don't want to have your slides really inundated with every single word. You make notes underneath, and make sure that you do provide note pages, because as an instructor and someone who's grading, if we have a question with what we see in the PowerPoint, we can look at your notes and it all makes sense. And so I would just ask, please provide us with notes. Okay?
Yeah, definitely, because you don't want your PowerPoint slides to be very wordy. Thank you, absolutely. Especially when it comes to describing the findings in the literature, that can be a lot of information. So you'll just want to do like highlights, like a sentence or two, and then down below, there's a little space in PowerPoint below it that you can write your notes, like Sheila said, and then you can kind of go into more detail about it. Thank you, Sheila. That's great, particularly in the slides about like your literature search and what you found on the whole topic. All right, any other questions? And yes, Tabitha, usually email or text is also pretty quick. I know I'm on email on Canvas pretty much all day. So unless it's late at night, and then I'll get back to you in the morning, but you guys are welcome to email, and if it's urgent, text or call.
Mm-hmm. And then Tabitha's asking if we have any past work we could see to have ideas. And so Tabitha, I would just ask you to reach out to your instructor and via email and just ask for that.
Yeah, for most assignments, we usually have a good example work, and there are videos for a lot of them as well, I know, so we can look into those.
And I don't mind sharing past examples because that's how we all learn. So.
I agree. This is Diane, and I also made a Module 6 assignment, how to do it, and I will send that to the instructors, and if you want it, you can post it.
Yes, so check your announcements. I'll absolutely post that, and any videos. There are some videos I know for other assignments that we posted in another course. So I will post any videos. I know the Module 6 assignment video that Diane made is great. So check your announcements. That's where it'll be.
Yep.
Okay.
And thank you, Carly, for reiterating to check announcements, because that's where you'll find videos that we've done. That's where you'll find updates. So it's very, very important that you check those once or twice a day.
Okay, if we are ending this meeting, but I'd like to open it for any questions. You can either type or put your microphone on and ask the question. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
So if we are like struggling with the assignments and stuff, are we allowed to call our instructors to set up like a meeting or something to like help us with that?
Yes, if you would like to have extra help, I would probably email your instructor or text and ask to set up a time to go over the assignment.
Okay, thank you.
Many of these assignments, we do have videos, like we said, or examples. So this probably seems a little bit overwhelming because we're presenting the whole class. But if you break it down and go piece by piece, we will be giving you help throughout this 8 weeks and examples and those things too.
And I've had students, last semester, I had students who, before they turned this PowerPoint in, before they kind of finalized things, she sent me a copy just to see if she was kind of on track. And I don't mind doing that. I'm happy to look it over just to see if things are just generally on track and if things look okay. So if you've started it and you're feeling a little insecure about it, feel free to send it to me. I'll look it over and let you know if you're in the right place. The rubrics are really helpful. Remember, we go off of the rubric when we're grading. So we look at every criteria and we just go down the line, and that's how we grade. So if you also just go down the line for every assignment in the rubric, odds are good that you'll be okay.
Okay, any other
And
questions?
there was
Oh, go ahead.
There was a question that came up about where do you want us to introduce ourselves? And so look in the Eagle Gate Cafe under discussions.
I can bring
and you'll
mine
see
up.
where we've introduced ourselves.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
So it's right here, and should say here, and then your instructor will be first, and then you can just introduce yourself after this. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Eagle Gate Cafe.
Under
The other thing I would talk about, since Diane has brought up, is when an instructor, we are launching discussions. And so I would just ask that you read our posts in the discussions to see if we've broken things down or added an article for you or something, because we have the basic discussion questions, but then each instructor looks at each discussion questions, and sometimes we add things to that. And so an example Diane's showing us now is Module 1, Discussion 1. You've got a question, but then if you look at Diane's, it's really in depth. And so make sure that you look at your instructor's posting, your first posting for each discussion question. Okay?
And I would like to add to that, oftentimes we will put something in the discussion. I know when I do APA format, I give examples and I'll throw them in the discussion. So make sure you're reading what we write throughout the discussion threads.
Yes, yes. And if you need to make an improvement for next time, please do so. We're not singling you out if we ask you to edit your post and add your scholarly reference. We just want everybody learns from everybody. And so make sure that you read up on our feedback to you so you can improve for next time. So you want all the discussion points you can get.
And often that feedback applies to other students. So we'll just put it kind of generally in the feed. And a lot of the time, if it's something with APA or, I mean, everybody has errors with that, even us. And so that's a lot of the time, it's kind of general for all the students, there are similar mistakes, and that's normal.
There's been another question posed about if we miss the first part of the meeting, where can we get the recording?
So after this,
each instructor will.
Okay, when the meeting is done, it's being recorded. I will put it into a YouTube video and I will send it out to everybody, and then it can be posted in the announcements.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
And Elizabeth, for the discussion post, there is no specific word count. No, that's a really good question. No specific word count, but make sure when you're replying to peers in the thread that it's a substantial post. That is a place where a lot of students will miss points. If it just kind of says like, great post, I agree with you, I see that too, it's not going to be quite enough. We want you to contribute to the learning environment. So most often points are lost if students are doing too much direct quotation. So they have very few of their own words, and then it's largely a direct quote, or if their response to peers is kind of a little incomplete and doesn't contribute a lot to the learning environment. So that's a great question. There's not a specific word count. Just make sure it's enough that you're meeting.
Someone asked if the book was an ebook. It is not an ebook. You have to buy a hard copy. And
the reason behind that is so you can tab your APA manual, so you can have it with you at all times, because you will utilize this manual all the way through graduation. And so we all know that ebooks sometimes are hard to navigate. To have a hard copy, to be able to tab some places that you're going to go to all the time.
She works for my mom, and she does probably good
really, really well.
Okay, just so you know, if you're talking, we can hear you.
Conferences, yeah.
So
like it's over stupid.
Your mic.
You may not want us to hear what you're talking about.
Yeah. It's on the recording.
Where do you buy it? You can go through your bookstore. I know you can order it online through Barnes & Noble. There's a spiral bound, which I find very convenient for me, more so than the, I don't know, the hard bound. But
students are saying they got it their first semester too. You got that book at orientation. It sounds like it was included in your books.
Is it the blue? Is it the 6th edition publication manual of the American Psychological Association?
That's the one. Yep, APA. Yep.
It's kind of like color blue something.
Yep, it's got a blue cover. Yep, that's exactly right.
So it was in Murray campus. It was given by Mr. Dennis. I forgot his last name, but he's one of the service director, and that was like last semester. That's been distributed.
So you should have your book. You should have it in your books. If not, please contact your program director. But you should have received it.
Mm-hmm. It's between $25 and $30.
All right,
it's a book that you'll not only use for this course, but you'll use it for every course here on out. So it's a very, very well used book.
It really is. It's a really great resource. Even after you graduate, if you ever have to do anything, it's a really good resource. You'll want it.
Okay, are there any other questions? Otherwise, we will close this meeting and we will turn it into a YouTube video. If you need to review it at any time, then you will have it. It will be in your announcements.
And again, if you have any questions, email your instructors. We're very welcome to visit with you about certain assignments, specific assignments, just let us know what we can do for you.
Thanks for your great questions, guys, and for coming.
Yes, thanks so much for coming. We appreciate that you took the time to be here tonight. And we look forward to meeting you online in our classes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm
Guys,
gonna
have a
stop
good one.
recording.